My channel. Let's get to know Princess Beatrice of York. I wanted to do a different type of video, and also because Princess Beatrice was due to get married this month, and we know because of the pandemic, the wedding plans had to be postponed. So let's get to the disclaimer. Full disclaimer can be found down below. All content was found on a public domain, and I'm using these under the fair use, fair dealing guidelines. These are my own opinions and may not be true. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to set that notification bell. Let's get started. Let's start with maybe a little known fact, or maybe this is something you already knew about Princess Beatrice, that she struggles with dyslexia. It says, Princess Beatrice heartache, B reveals childhood struggle, I'm not good enough. And this is not something that you can overcome. It's with you your entire life. You work around and try to find things that make it easier. It's especially difficult for people who have dyslexia in math. Sometimes they transpose the numbers. They look at them, and when they go to copy let's say a mathematical problem down from the board in a classroom, you sometimes invert the numbers and it's written backwards. And it also, when reading, sometimes the sentence breaks up and you're just reading it, bits and pieces of it, and able to read it from start to finish. Sometimes you read it and you want to look, your brain wants to go from right to left instead of left to right. So it can be difficult for people to learn to read with this. All right, I'll go back to the article. Sorry, enough talking. Says Princess Beatrice is the Queen's fifth grandchild and is often in the public eye, attending royal events alongside her mother, Sarah Ferguson, and her sister, Princess Eugenie, which we know she's married, and we just got the news that they're expecting their first child, which is wonderful news. Princess Beatrice revealed her childhood struggle with dyslexia, explaining how she would think that I'm not good enough. And it's often hard. It affects their self-confidence. So it just talks about here, she opens up with it, and she wants to work with other kids. So she opens up about her dyslexia in a rare interview. There is nothing wrong. The Queen's granddaughter recalled how dyslexia caused doubt in the classroom and how she is working to help schools support dyslexic students. Sometimes when you have a classroom of kids of 28 to 30, I know from teaching that it's very difficult, and you need to give every child whatever modifications that they need, but sometimes that's difficult because classroom settings are typically so large, but they need a little more support and maybe someone to sit down and go over homework assignments or get them started on something, or maybe even extended periods of time to work. Princess Beatrice is helping the next generation understand that dyslexia is not a disability. In a new video made by Dyslexia, the 31-year-old daughter of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson opens up about being dyslexic and how learning disorder related to language processing has actually been beneficial. Princess Beatrice said that working at a technology company, she is able to rely on her communication skills, and notes that many of her co-workers are also dyslexic. I think that's one of her strengths we have as a dyslexic, is to look at things differently, be a problem solver, find new ways to do things, be experimental, entrepreneurial, Beatrice explains. The royal added that dyslexia really does not affect her day-to-day because she's learned ways to overcome it. It develops as you develop. It grows. It's a part of you. It's a part of how you and your brain develops. It is not something that is wrong with you, and it's a great part of how your brain works. And everybody's brain works differently, incredibly differently. She said, there is nothing wrong. There is just everything that is so right. Despite her confidence today, Princess Beatrice opened up about feeling self-conscious at school when her friends and classmates were ahead of her. I was very lucky. I got to go to school, and it was very nurturing and very supportive, but I would describe the actual day-to-day learning side of things as very challenging. I remember we had different colored books to describe how far your reading levels were and how you'd gotten to that. I was also always on the white books. My best friends were always on the yellow books or green books. They were so far ahead, Beatrice said, and I think at that stage those moments of doubt just popped into your head that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, why am I not like the others? So she just continues to talk about how those classrooms were very defining moments, and especially like during the exam time. And these were lifelong learning lessons that she had to learn to overcome. And she decided that having dyslexia, that she wanted to work with organizations. And we'll listen to this.
Is because of being a dyslexic person myself. I feel like I really understand that we have a responsibility to change the narrative around what we are delivering to young people in the classroom. I was very lucky, got to go to a school that was very nurturing and very supportive. But I would describe the actual day-to-day learning side of things very challenging. I remember we had different colored books to describe how far where your reading levels had got to. And I was always on the white books. My best friends were always on the yellow books or the green books. They were so far ahead. And I think at that stage, those moments of doubt just pop into your head. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not. Why am I not like the others? I think when you're in the classroom, those moments are they're very defining. I think if I would say to my younger self, do not be defined by those moments that happen to you in that exam or that classroom, because they are lifelong learnings. They are lessons that you carry with you, and they build you up to be who you are. I think that education now, when you've got a lot of young people that are focusing on just getting things perfect for a test and absolutely not being able to have that moment of expression that comes from a study around lifelong learning, and actually what skills-based learning really looks like, we are going to get into ourselves in a very difficult situation. So I'm really excited with all the work that's going on now with a few different organizations across the world to really think through what is skills-based learning and what are the skills that young people need to be able to thrive in life. I think technology plays a really important role. Tech-enabled learning and what we can achieve with that, what we can do for multiple classrooms across the world, taking through the centers of excellence and being able to connect people, being able to tell a very different story, delivering homework help and support and online tutoring. These are great assets and great tools for young people. So I really see the work that we're doing, raising awareness around dyslexia, as a true pillar to stand up the concept of reimagining education. Because so many young people now are going to be faced with some of the biggest moral and ethical decisions, you really want to make sure they have every tool for success. One of the reasons why I think it's a great time to be dyslexic now is because that narrative is starting to change. I think employers are very aware that they do have to rely on a different set of skill sets. I'm very lucky I've been able to find a job that relies on my communication skills a lot more than it is me sitting behind a desk. A lot of my colleagues also have dyslexia because we work in a technology company that is always about looking at things differently, and I think that's one of the strengths that we have as dyslexics, is to look at things differently and be a problem solver, find new ways to do things, be experimental, entrepreneurial. Dyslexia really does affect me day to day. It develops as you develop. It's part of you. It's part of how your brain develops. It is not something that is wrong with you. It is a great part of how your brain works, and everybody's brain works incredibly differently. There is nothing wrong. There is just everything that is so right.
So that's a wonderful thing that she's doing, and she's also working with the organization and talking about new technology that is helping those that suffer from dyslexia. I too have a daughter who has dyslexia that we determined at about second or third grade, and today she's graduated from college and she's a registered nurse and is doing very well. And she worked very hard to be able to do it because studying, it can be difficult, and she found different ways of studying that worked for her. All right, so let's go on. Here's a picture of Princess Beatrice and Eduardo Mapelli Mazzotti, and this is her beautiful and handsome fiance. And again, they were supposed to be married this month, but that's had to be postponed due to the pandemic. It said they were set to marry Edoardo Mapelli Mazzi at St. James's Palace in London on May 29th, with a reception to follow at her grandmother Queen Elizabeth's gardens at Buckingham Palace. However, they canceled their nuptials due to the lockdown in the UK amid the coronavirus pandemic. Another picture of them, their engagement picture. So let's get to know what her birth name is. So Princess Beatrice of York, born Beatrice Elizabeth Mary, belongs to the British royal family and is the elder daughter of Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Sarah Margaret Ferguson. As granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, she is currently eighth in line to the throne. She has an upbringing similar to the royal children, with access to the best schools and colleges. However, since she was diagnosed with dyslexia as a child and faced academic challenges, she overcame these difficulties and did graduate from Goldsmiths College in history. While fame was part of the partial of being born into the royal family, Beatrice had decided to venture into her own business. She worked for Sony Television to gain exposure in the entertainment industry. She decided to move to New York to work with the venture capital firm Sandbridge before branching out and form her own business consultancy. She currently holds a full-time job as a business matchmaker and also follows the duties of a royal family member. Now, she's not considered a senior royal, but she does do things on part for the Queen, but it's my understanding that she doesn't get paid as a working royal. So apart from her business, she's an active philanthropist who participates in several charity fundraising events in addition to running her own nonprofit organization, and presently she lives in London. She was born on August the 8th, 1988. And then we talked about who her parents are. It says she is the fifth grandchild of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. Her baptism took place on December the 20th, 1988 at the Chapel Royal at St. James Palace. Viscount Linley, the Earl Snowdon, Lady Jane Donney, Carol Codwell, Peter Palumbo, and Gabrielle Greenall were declared as her godparents. Her name, Beatrice, which was announced 2 weeks after her birth, was considered an unusual choice for the royal family. So she was viewed 4 days after her birth, and then they finally gave her birth name, it said 2 weeks after. She studied at Upton House and later moved to Coxwell Park School. She pursued her education at St. George School from 2000 to 2007 in Ascot. She was diagnosed with dyslexia at an early age, but it was publicly announced only in 2005. I know I myself had not heard of it. She was held back a year for her GCSE exams due to her dyslexia. However, she took her A-levels, and at school she was an active member in the choir. 2008, she enrolled in a 3-year BA course, which focused on history at Goldsmiths College, London, and from there she graduated in 2011. She participated in a London marathon in order to raise money for children in crisis. She became the first member of her family to participate in this marathon. She also stood as patron of Forget Me Not, a children's hospice. And in 2014, Beatrice decided to opt for a work experience internship, and we talked about that at Sony Pictures. While she holds a full-time job, she also carries on the duties of a royal member. In 2012 Olympics, she welcomed the Olympic flame near Leeds, and in 2013, she and her sister Eugenie promoted their country in Germany. She later joined the Manhattan investment firm, Sandbridge, and which boasted of clients like Topshop and Karl Lagerfeld. The venture capital firm later helped her set up her own business and consultancy firm. Let's go ahead. In 2018, she was seen accompanying Zia Christie, the co-founder of a billion-dollar company, Affinity, to meetings and several gatherings at the World Economic Forum in Davos. It was announced that her consultancy had landed a deal with Affinity, an artificial intelligence company whose clients included Vodafone and Virgin. However, neither her father nor Affinity confirmed the details of their partnerships. On her 18th birthday, Princess Beatrice exclaimed that she wanted to assist others through charity. She had previously worked with her mother and assisted her in running several nonprofit organizations. And let's just go down a little bit. No, this is important. So in 2011, we all recall the headpiece that was quite large that she wore to the wedding to Prince William. And so that was offered on sale to eBay, and it was publicly announced that the proceeds would go to charity. She sold that headpiece for $81,000, and the money was divided between UNICEF and the Children in Crisis. That's a wonderful thing. I do know that Diana did quite a bit of that, selling a lot of the outfits that she wore. Of course, the royals aren't going to repeatedly wear those over and over, so she made sure it went to a good cause. In 2012, she became a patron of the York Musical Society, and the following year, she became the royal patron of Helen Arskell Dyslexia Center. She credits her academic success to the efforts of this charity. She went on to climb Mont Blanc along with Richard Branson to assist a charity. Later, she climbed Mont Etna, forgive me if I'm saying these wrong, as part of a fundraising initiative called the Virgin Strive Challenge. She is an active supporter of Pitch at Palace initiative, a charity that was started by her father, and the aim of this charity is to support budding entrepreneurs to expand their business. In 2016, Beatrice, her sister, and mother joined hands with the artist, Teddy M., to inaugurate the first royal graffiti titled Royal Love. The painting was exhibited in London before being sold, and the proceeds were then donated by Beatrice to Children in Crisis. She founded her own charity called Big Change, along with her friends. The focus of this organization was to encourage the youth to develop and hone skills outside traditional expectations in academia. In 2017, she actively promoted the book Be Cool, Be Nice, which spoke against bullying. In an interview with Vogue, she spoke about how she was bullied in the past by her peers who had mocked her for her fashion sense. And just a little bit about her family and personal life. She's in a relationship with, we know, she was in a relationship with Paulo Lozado, and he was an American citizen who was charged with assault and battery in 2016. This relationship sparked a controversy due to his contentious past. She was in a relationship with Dave Clark, a business executive from the United States, from 2006 until 2016. The couple broke up when Beatrice expressed her eagerness to get married, but Dave constantly refused. These are some lovely pictures of Princess Beatrice, and she is a beautiful girl. I remember as a small child, she had these beautiful blonde locks, and as she's gotten older and matured, her hair has become a strawberry blonde, where she looks more like her mother. Here is Beatrice and Eugenie in one of the carriages. Beatrice and her mother, Sarah, and it says that Beatrice is very close with the Queen. Princess Beatrice's mom, Sarah, is the ex-wife of Prince Andrew and has somewhat of a contentious relationship with some of the members of the royal family. But Bee's grandmom, Queen Elizabeth II, does not hold against her and is actually quite close with the princess. For example, the Queen was on hand to help the Princess Beatrice celebrate her 30th birthday at Balmoral in Scotland this past August. She's named after the aunt of the Queen. This is where Princess Beatrice's name comes from, and she was baptized Princess Beatrice Elizabeth Mary of York, was named after Queen Victoria's youngest child. She had 9 children, and Beatrice was the youngest, and the dearest companion in later years, as well as the editor of her personal diaries, Princess Beatrice, who later became Princess Henry of Battenberg, and whose only daughter was Princess Victoria Eugenie. Of course, Bees was given for her first name, and Elizabeth after Queen Elizabeth II, and her second middle name, Mary, after Queen Mary of Teck, the mother of King George VI and Elizabeth II's grandmother. And here's some more lovely pictures of her. And I can remember they almost looked like twins. And then Eugenie began sprouting up and, getting much taller than, or Beatrice became much taller than her sister Eugenie. I love these pictures. And then you can see her family right here. Of course, we're not going to say anything about Prince Andrew. I'm going to make a video of him separately. But this is her father and mother, and they were married and divorced several years after their marriage. But they remained very good friends, which is good, and I'm sure that the kids were grateful for that. So we're reaching the end. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this on Princess Beatrice. Again, wanted to do something a little bit different, something lighthearted, and hopefully you learned something along with me that we didn't already know. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.